national level. So they're not only learning, they're competing at the state and national level at a high level. So, and we're also very, very proud of our small town culture and our connection with our community, because that's what we're here for, is to build contributing citizens for tomorrow. You've always heard, I love the quote, great communities build great schools, and great schools build great communities, and that's what we're here to do.
All right, thank you, Rich. My name is Spencer Davis. I'm the Chief Financial Officer. It's good to meet some of you that I don't know, and good to see some friendly faces. And so what I wanted to go over is just a few things associated with what this process is going to look like. So specifically as a committee, one of the things that we want to have happen is have an open dialogue with all of you at the table, productive, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure what's best for the kids. And so through that, engaging, making recommendations that are based on current factual data. So going through that information as a group, looking at it and seeing what, as a team, as one potential team and a facility planning team, what does that look like? And then transparent. So we want to be transparent with everything that we have. The meeting is being recorded, so those that are not here will have access to it, and then we have it available to the public as well. And then, as a committee, looking for consensus. Now, consensus does not mean 100% agreement, but what it is the middle ground in all items. And so, coming to a consensus as a group and making a recommendation to the board so that they can discuss it. So some of the ongoing responsibilities of us at Godley is assessing our current needs. So what we're doing is we're currently looking at and constantly looking at what can we do with the current resources that we have so that we have the best available for not only our kiddos but also the staff. And then reviewing our financial data. So we're really proud that we won 3 transparency stars with the state. We publish more than required, and so having a clear understanding of those financial items and capacity and what it specifically looks like is an important thing that we do daily. And then studying the demographics, we're going to have our demographer come up here in a second that looks at our community as a whole, where are we going, what does it look like, our projections for housing as well as students, and then coming together and having a plan, making sure that it aligns with you as a committee so that you have information that you need. Now, as a committee, what y'all will be responsible for is going through the information that we'll be presenting to you. There's going to be a lot of information. We want to make sure that we break it down for you so that you have the ability to ask questions, internalize it, but then also figure out what are some priorities that you as a community want to look at, as well as again, developing that consensus of how is it going to impact all of us. And then through these next couple of meetings, what we'll be able to do is then, as a committee, present the findings. And so as you come to that consensus as a group, make recommendations, and then again, give it to the board so that they can determine the next steps. One of the things that we do, since it is going to be a lot of information, we're going to break it up for you. So we'll talk about our enrollment, we'll talk about our infrastructure need, we'll talk about school finance in depth, as well as potential solutions and costs, and then at the very end, we'll come together again as a committee to see about a recommendation to the board. So I'm going to bring up for us Paul Cash. So Paul is with Zonda, who does our demographic report. And so this report was last published September of 2024. So it's a very recent, I guess, snapshot of what our community looks like. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Paul.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me here. My name is Paul Cash. I'm with Zonda Demographics. And we have a lot of information to cover. I'm not going to read every slide, but I do want to go through it fairly quickly. Zonda, we provide demographic services across the state and even throughout other states, and we've been doing it a long time. And so we really like working with districts like Godley, and so we can help them out. One of the factors that we use to look at the financial conditions of a district is unemployment rate. You can see here that Johnson County and DFW actually went up about a point this last year, but still remains under 4, and 4 is really considered to be completely employed. So the economy here is good. When we look across the state, last year there was public schools grew over 13,000 students, which is not as high as it was, whenever people were coming back from COVID. But across the state, enrollment continues to grow. But I'll tell you, we go all across the state, and it's not growing everywhere. We meet with as many districts now talking about closing schools as we do with districts that need more schools. And so it's not, growth is not everywhere. We're lucky to be kind of in the North Texas area where growth is good. When we look at this, you look at Godley ISD itself has grown 36% over the last 5 years, and you have some districts, Granbury and Joshua, and Glenrose, that are kind of in the growing area as well. And so, but again, not all of Region 11 is even growing. And so it's not, you can't just blanketly say, hey, everything's great in Texas, it's growing everywhere, because some of the larger districts are getting to capacity, and they're having to close schools. But Godley has grown significantly over the last 5 years. When you talk statewide, when you talk about the last quarter, from year to year for the last quarter, nationally, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin continue to stay in the top 6 of closings of homes across the state. And so, again, there's a lot going on there. Something that is interesting, closings and starts in the DFW area continue to go back and forth. One quarter, one's way up. This last quarter for 2025, in the first quarter, closings actually outdid starts as well. And as you know, until interest rates make a change, closings and starts are still going to remain fairly close to each other. But closings are starting to make a comeback this last quarter. So these are some fun facts that I like to bring up about different communities. It's always a challenge in my job, because I'm coming to your community and trying to tell you what's going on. And so you typically know the community better than me, but these are some fun facts. The district is almost 125 square miles. That's a lot of property that's out there. 14,560 population. The median age is 38.3. But then I like to throw these in there of the breakdown of the community. 17.4% are our baby boomers, which are ages 61 to 79. 20% are Gen Xers, which are our 45 to 60s. And then, of course, the group that gets beat up the most, the millennials, does make up 23.8% of your community. And so there are 27 to 44-year-olds. You keep, in my mind, I keep thinking of millennials as being 18-year-olds. Well, their bottom number is 27 years old now. And then you talk about your Gen Zers, which does include a lot of our school-age kids, because Gen Zs are ages 9 to 26. They're also a big group, and so that's just kind of a fun fact about the people that live in the community. Godley ISD, this report here just shows the capture rate, and what that means is the number of students that are born in the community that actually attend school in the area. And as of last year, 2024, your capture rate was 103%. So more students attend than reside in Godley ISD. So that's good news. The district's doing a good job about that. All right, so let's talk about home sales from last year. Obviously when you're selling homes, you have new homes and you have existing homes. This slide shows that home sales have gone down 23 and 24, and new home sales accounted for almost 60% of the total home sales. And of course, the next question is why? And that's because of the prices. You can see here over on the right, the average new home price has grown. New home price is $437,000. That's the average new home price based on sales last year. And the existing home price is higher than that at just over $452,000. So new homes are cheaper than existing homes on the average. So let's look at we break everything down by elementary zone for the most part, and I'll show you later just how much elementaries impact everything else. But you can see here the highest activity is in the legacy zone. They had 206 starts last year, 175 closings. These two numbers on the right are huge. Vacant developed lots. What does that mean? That means lots that they can start building on those lots tomorrow, or maybe this afternoon instead of today. But they can start on those at any time, so they're ready to go. And then futures are lots that are just planned, but there hasn't been any start of anything yet. Now, there may be roads being put in, but those are what's down the road. So you can see with Legacy, they still have 739 lots that are ready to go and almost 7,000 futures. In the Pleasant View area, they are selling also 111 starts, and then they still have 587 lots ready, and then over 6,000 futures. So just these totals, this is important. So as of today, as of the end of last year, there's 1,600 lots that are ready to build on immediately, and over 16,000 futures. Okay, that's what we're here to plan on, is these two numbers. When are they going to build, and when are people going to move into them? And again, they can start a lot tomorrow or develop it tomorrow, but it may be 2 years before any houses get moved into. So when we look at the district overall, yellow are future subdivisions, green are active subdivisions. And then the ones with red are the ones where the groundwork's underway. So you can see here, as I just mentioned, over 1,600 lots that are available between 29 active subdivisions. On this screen here, green, there should be 29 polygons that match that. And then 19 future planned developments, and again the same number, over 16,400 of those futures. And so these are the ones that have actually have groundwork underway. Eagle Creek Addition, this is Del Lago, Rosemary Fields. I drove by it coming in. You know, there's houses going in there, and Hunters Park. Those are all futures, but they're active. And then Silo Mills, out there to the east is Bing and Hadley Farm. So those are the 6 subdivisions right now that have over 690 lots that are being worked on. So we're going to look at some of those, and I'm going to be brief. Eagle Creek Addition and Vista Del Lago, they're in the Pleasant View attendance zone, the 2 ones that are red there. And you can see they total, I'll have to do some math because I didn't read my notes. They have over 80 future lots that are going together there. So then we look at Silo Mills. Silo Mills is a large subdivision on the eastern part, all in the Pleasant View elementary zone, and it has 2,845 total lots, and the majority of those are still futures. I looked on the map on the satellite image from May on those, and there's houses going on in there on a regular basis. So we look at Hadley Farms, Fox Hollow, and Hunters Park. Those are all right here, central part of the district. And so when you look at those, Hadley Farms is over 350 lots, Fox Hollow 300, and Hunters Park has almost 50 total lots that are going in. So then Rosemary Fields, again, it's the future here, but there is activity and houses going in there. That's also central. It's right here on the Pleasant View. I don't have the schools on this map, but I like to tell you they're all three. You can almost throw a rock between all the elementaries, and you have to kind of build the district kind of like a piece of pie. to get the school zone. But it is right there in the middle of all three of Godley, Pleasant View, and Legacy. 296 for Rosemary Fields, and then almost 50 on the higher links. So then County Crossing. County Crossing is north a little bit. I think it's on, what is it, 2331 coming in, and it's rolling. And so it has almost 450 total lots there, and the numbers are probably higher than what's occupied. They're more occupied now than the ones on the screen. Three other big ones. These are mostly in the legacy zone. You have Wildcat Ridge, Star Ranch, and Stillwater Lake Estates. Again, 435, 485, and 200. So there are over 1,000 lots just between those three subdivisions, and those are active subdivisions as well. And then we have Wild Horse Hills and Godley Ranch. It's to the east side, right over here, and those have together over 650 total lots. Wild Horse Hills is smaller, with only about 65 of those. And so then the future, which is out there next to the Joshua district, 1,200, but only 280 of those are in the Godley ISD, and there's no groundwork, there's not anything going on out there yet. So then we do look at multifamily overview. There's two multifamilies that are futures, and then you have the one Stillwater Lake apartments, which are right over here, that they're actually building those, and those should be 88 multifamily units there in that apartment complex. And so when we look at this is a TEA report that says how many students reside outside of Godley but attend school in Godley ISD, and then vice versa. How many students in Godley ISD attend schools elsewhere? And you can just see this last year, 238 students resided outside of Godley ISD but attended, and 164 that resided here attended schools elsewhere. And so that's, on the capture slide where it was 103%, this is part of the reason, is because more kids are coming from outside of the district that are attending schools. And these schools here could include charter schools, online schools. They're not all just mixed, not just your neighbors. So let's look at enrollment for a little bit, because this is where what we do really should pay off. This last year you had 3,193 students, which was up 191 students from the year before. But here's what you need to pay attention to. If you look at this 6th grade at the top that's yellow that says 203, that was the largest group that year. They were the largest group in 7th grade, the largest group in 8th grade, the largest group in 9th grade, the second largest group in 10th grade. Is when you get a large cohort, it really drives the enrollment their whole career. Well, you have a lot of those in the kindergarten and 1st grade area. So those larger classes are not only going to be large now, they're going to be the top 2 classes that are larger as you go on. And one way to look at that, I don't know if this has I don't want to push it, but what you can also look at is this year, you guys graduated around 146 students. But next year, don't push that. Next year, my time's up, so they gave me 6 minutes now. So if you look at, you graduated 146, but we're projected at 228 kindergartners. Okay, that's 80 students. Your enrollment's going to increase, and nobody moved or did anything. Nobody built any houses in addition to what's already here. And so you can see here that this kindergarten numbers are going to continue to grow, and so as the cohorts go through, they're going to get larger. And so we project for 4,000 students by the year 28, 29, and then exceed 5,000 students in 33, 34. So how's that going to impact the campuses that you have now in their functional capacity? Well, Legacy Elementary and Godley Middle School will exceed their functional capacities in 26, 27. And that's just a year away. Then we have Godley 6th grade in 2829, Godley Elementary in 2930. And so just based on the capacities and the projections we have, that's when these buildings will reach their functional capacity. So just to kind of recap, 59% of all the district's housing has been new home sales. There's 29 active subdivisions with 1,600 lots ready to build on now or more. 19 future subdivisions with over 16,000 lots. And then forecasting over 4,000 students by 2930. And in 10 years, 5,300 students in the district.
So we like to talk about our whys. Why are we here? This is a big reason. We're really looking more at a more immediate need because we try to listen to our community and we feel that our community sends the message with the last two bonds that let's not worry about those needs that are off in the future. Let's worry about what's going on right now. So this is more immediate. We don't have the capacity for the growth that's coming, and it's still coming. So we just wanted to kind of sum it up our basic why. And right now I'm going to introduce Kristen Morgan come up and talk to you a little bit more about our kids and the type of kids that we've got. And because I think you guys know that kids have changed since we've all been in school, and teaching's changed since we've been in school as well. So Kristen, I'll go ahead and hand it off to you.
I'm excited to be in Godley tonight. I got to know a little bit about Godley when I was in Sunnyvale ISD because sometimes we were on the football field together. And so Rich and I would walk across the football field and we'd have a little chat at halftime. So that was good. And then doing some community-based accountability work, I've enjoyed getting to work with people in that way too. I believe before, if you have any questions about the demographic information, about what I'm about to talk about, there's sticky notes on your table. So if you would like to write those down, feel free to do that. And then there's some big chart paper around, and you can stick them on there, and then throughout we'll answer, or we'll gather information and answer our next one. Okay? Sound good? Well, we want to keep talking about students, and we want to keep talking about kids. We know that kids are more than just numbers, right? It's not just about enrollment, it's not just about how many kids you have, but also the kind of programs that we offer them. And so, I always kind of giggle here. The Oregon Trail. Who played the Oregon Trail? Yeah. Oh, like it was such a reward. Like I was so excited. I remember being in elementary school. You go all the way. I started teaching in 1998. And like, I remember at Baylor I had dial-up. And when I had dial-up internet, like waiting in that sound will like never leave me. But when you look at just 50 years on this timeline, how much things have changed, it's staggering. And I look at how teaching has changed, and I look at how just learning has changed, and how our kids have changed. And that's kind of what we want to focus a little bit on tonight. The library, the Dewey Decimal System, all of those hard catalog skills. When you look at a dictionary and knowing what those God words are, those are all things I taught as a first and second grade teacher. And now it looks very different. We're having to teach kids how to synthesize information, how to evaluate what a good source is. And so just access to information has changed a lot in these last 50 years. Blockbuster? Anybody? That was a great Friday night, CC's and Blockbuster when my kids were little. Nice, cheap entertainment. But you know, used to, we'd get there and if the movie was gone, we had to pivot. Like it wasn't just, hey, let's go to another streaming service. So, again, just access to information has changed. The speed at which our kids take in information has changed in a big way. Surgeries. You look at what used to take 8 to 10 doctors, 8 to 10 hours, can now be done in space with people working remotely. It is amazing to look at how technology is changing so very rapidly. So when we look at teaching and learning, we know that the future we're preparing our kids for does look different. And we have to teach them how to think, and we have to teach them how to communicate. So at your table, take just a second. In the last 10 years, so think back to like 2015, just 10 years ago, what's changed in your workplace? Talk about that for just a second. changed in the last 10 years? Okay, so there's been some introduction of some AI from different programs. What else?
Working virtually and learning how that relationship and network is very different.
Yes, some flexibility in the workplace, and kind of how you can leverage and learn from people that maybe aren't right there. What else? Textbooks. Yes. You know, as a curriculum director, I used to have to make sure I had plenty of closets for all of the books because they needed to all go in there, and we still need books. But we've found a little bit of a balance. What else? So I contend that workplaces have changed, and they're very much more, they are much more collaborative than they used to be. And so those skills of communication, those skills of critical thinking is very important. So when you look at where we are right now, for the first time, we've got 7 generations. We have a silent generation hanging out here. Who are born in 1946 to 64 years old? We got a few? Okay, so we have our boomers, and our boomers, you know, are about 12% of our population. That was actually a little bit higher for Godley. But our boomers are those dependable, independent. That's how they describe themselves, learning from websites and books, sometimes YouTube and things like that. So as we progress through this Gen X, you're my Gen Xers, 65 to 79, that's me. When you think about Gen X, even from the boomers to Gen X, you add like some of those things like Instagram and some of those other things where this information is being brought to you. Gen X is kind of described as that resilient generation. Clear communication is very important for the Gen Xers. You get to Gen Y, and this is our 80 to 94. Okay, all right. Got a few more. You look at this population is currently 34% of our workforce. And so knowing and understanding kind of who's working for us. We're not only talking about kids, we're talking about staff as well. But when you look at this generation can be characterized as independent yet generous, very dependable. Keep coming to work on the regular and they are ready to go. But there is some desire for those flexible working hours and implication and things like that. This takes a different level of commitment when that is given, correct? If you're working remote, you have to have a different level of commitment. You have to take some ownership and goals and tasks and things like that. As we get to Gen Z, this is when all my children were born. Everybody's like, I'm not saying a word. This is that determined and creative generation. I will say, having been in the classroom and seeing how kids change, that determined definitely came out, and creative. They wanted to figure out, give a direction, and they would figure out some way to just skin it in a little bit different way. But sometimes that thinking is what we need as some of these technologies start to emerge. Gen Alpha, that's a lot of the people we're educating right now. 2010 to 2024. And you look at the incoming technology and what they have seen come in their lifetime and what is outgoing. Who thought a car key was going to be an outgoing technology? That is staggering. But you look at pagers and those things that we have, we thought we were pretty cool when we got to the BlackBerry. So as you look through these, BlackBerry, you have to hit the button 1,000 times. When you look at the jobs that Gen Alpha, cybersecurity specialist, drone pilot, data designer, sleep technician, some of these things that when I was in school, we did not know exactly what these things were going to be. When we started some of the work, actually in the community-based accountability, somebody from AT&T said, you know, the jobs we'll post 5 years from now, I couldn't tell you what they are going to be because things are changing that quickly. We need kids that have skills to think on their feet and to be able to communicate. When you look at Gen Theta, our newest generation, you look at 2.5 million work globally each week. You look at the countries where the the population is the highest. And again, you look at that incoming technology and that outgoing technology. The challenge right now in the world of education is knowing how to prepare kids, how to prepare them for where they're headed, how they're going to learn and become that independent learner that can take care of tasks, that can really self-manage a lot of things. And so our classrooms, obviously we know that the teacher is the number one most important tool in that classroom. However, having access and teaching some of these other technologies is important as well. So I'm going to ask you to fill your phone. This is a great thing that came out of COVID, is that everybody uses QR regularly. And the question is, what skills are essential for students to thrive after high school? Answer the question in just a minute. I get to see your responses. Okay, so obviously the biggest one, the most answered would be communication, collaboration, adaptability, flexibility. Reading and math, obviously, extremely important. Interpersonal skills, grit, critical thinking, taking initiative, holding them accountable. So as you look at this, you know that the programs that you need in Godley ISD need to be driven by this. What is it that we can do to prepare our kids for those next steps? So as we kind of continue our conversation this evening, we're pairing that conversation about growth and numbers with programs that kids need and things that we really need to think about as we focus on the future. Oh, I can't do that. I probably ought to switch to the other tab. There we go. So, I'm going to hand it back over to Spencer to continue our conversation.
Thank you, Christy. So one of the things we wanted to do in kind of combination with looking at the demographic study is look at that table that had 10 years and cohorts and what it looked like for the capacities of each school. Wanted to break it down a little bit for you. So this is our pre-K through 12th grade, so this is our entire district as a whole. And so since the last 5 years, we've grown over 6.5% over that time frame. And so we've gone from about 2,300 students to this past year, 3,193. And so as we've seen, we have 16,000 home sites plus still coming. And so the growth is going to be here. And so even if we look at a conservative rate around 5%, that puts us over 5,000 students by the 34-35 year. And so what you're looking at on each one of these slides is the purple rectangle is what our current capacity is based on our current facilities. And then the blue columns for each year are the number of students that the district is currently going to have. So you can see that we are right in the middle of the 25-26 school year starting, so in less than 3 weeks. And you can see that we are already over capacity in some of the areas. And so that's one of the reasons that we made the decision, and the board made the decision to open up additional space at Legacy. As Paul talked about earlier, Legacy is the fastest growing campus currently based on how the lines are currently drawn. And so as we look at that, we made a decision to move some of our administration staff off of the Legacy campus into a new building, which opened up capacity by over 100. So again, trying to utilize our resources in in a responsible way. So as we look at the 9th and 12th grades or a high school, you can see that the current investments that the community has made previously has allowed us to have the capacity to grow and to offer those different resources and different experiences for those campuses. And so that is something that's positive out of that again, our community recognized that we needed the additional facilities. And so we also see that with our elementary school. So again, our Pleasant View Elementary is our newest elementary school. Again, graciously given to us by the community. And so you can see that up on the top left is RV Godley. So a little bit of space there. It's the second fastest growing. Pleasant View down at the bottom left, and then you have Legacy up at the top right. Without us making that change that we did this year for the 25-26 school year and opening that additional capacity, we would have been out of space. And so there would have been a lot of transfers that would have had to happen between a few different campuses. So again, based on our current zones, trying to make sure that we don't impact a lot of individuals. As we go to our 6th grade, so again, we have a standalone 6th grade building in our middle school. So we have our 6th, 7th, and 8th middle school. The current building has a little bit of capacity, as you see. So there's room for the growth there, but it's starting to look like we're going to need some additional space as the capacity of our elementary schools continue to increase and they all flow into one campus. You can see that that's potentially going to create an issue. When we look at our 7th, 8th campus, which is what we're currently in right now, the flexibility is not as much. So we pretty much have this upcoming year, 25-26, before we will be out of space in this building. And so what does that mean for us to look at in the thought process of immediate needs versus future needs? So this is what it will look like as it currently stands over the next 10 years. So with our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade as is. So you can see, again, this year we have the capacity to grow 26-27 school year. We're running out of room, and we're going to continue to push down that way. But what does it look like since there's not really a lot of space at the 6th grade campus? It's pretty much landlocked. So even though the 6th grade campus has a little bit of space, they're not going to have space for long, and there's not anywhere to put them. And what does it look like now if we make a change potentially to pull everybody here at the middle school into one campus? And so you can see that if we pulled everybody here as of how it currently sits, we would be over capacity from day one last year moving forward. And so why are we looking at this? Well, again, the board, when they looked at potentially getting a planning committee together, they wanted, again, that consensus that they're looking at the immediate needs. And not that we're not planning for the future, but looking and listening to the community. This is a great representation. We talked about it earlier, Paul, that we're growing over 30% in the past 5 years. Actually, in the past 6 years, based on TBA fast growth, we're actually the 39th fastest growing school district in the state. So there's over 1,000 school districts. That's the top 4% of every school district in the state of Texas. That's how fast we're growing. And so trying to provide that hometown community feel, the opportunities for our students to have that ability to be community leaders, and then also providing them the resources that don't just look at them on one single day of the year or a couple of days of the year, but looking at growing them as a complete person and turning them into lifelong learners. We'll turn it over to Rich.
So we've given you guys a lot of information tonight. I've passed out some some papers on your table. If you pass a couple of those down, and you guys can share about 2 of those. When you think about the future of Godley ISD, with what you heard tonight, talk at your table. What do we need to prioritize? What type of facilities, programs, whatever? We've got some suggestions there, suggestions here. What do you guys think that we need to start considering? This is going to help us plan our next meeting. It will give us some great feedback. But talk at your tables right now. We're going to go for 7 minutes. What do we need to start thinking about for our future?
fix it, they can fix it with that. Well, I'm just going to try to maintain 6 grade education.
Okay, real quickly, I had a lot of good conversation. Real quickly, I just want to hear some brief share out. Just what are maybe top 2 things that you guys had right here? ROTC?
And equity among all schools.
Equity among all schools. Good. What about you guys right here? You guys right here.
Yeah, middle schools,
Middle school,
elementary, and buses.
elementary, and buses. What about you guys? Upgrade to legacy and RBG and middle school. Okay. What'd you say?
Red light.
You want a red light? Yes, ma'am. Like, oh, you got more? Sorry.
Well, we said middle school, same thing, and then
Middle school.
technology increase to bring the other campuses of the high school.
RBG and legislative PD, yes, ma'am. What do you mean? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What about
All
you
right,
guys?
ours are middle school, elementary school, and transportation.
Middle school, elementary school, and transportation. Very good. Oh, y'all with me? What about you guys?
We said elementary.
Elementary, middle school, with technology. Very good. And transportation. Okay. Well, thank you guys. We'll take these up and we'll use these to kind of guide us. Oh, sorry. It's good back here. Yes.
We said elementary school renovations to include the plumbing issues and flooding, but also equity and technology.
At Legacy, plumbing issues at Legacy, right?
Yes.
Okay,
And
yes.
flooding at RV.
Flooding in RB, yes. And you said technology?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we said we really do want.
We have a
theater.
student here giving us
There's a student
ideas.
really
Yes.
wants-
Yeah.
You want to tell us?
Theater. Who's that? Oh, I got you. Fine arts facility. Okay. Okay, we will take these up, and I'm going to hand it off to Jeff Lennon, and he's going to wrap us up. We appreciate you guys. We're done in just over an hour. And we appreciate you guys, and we'll get to Jeff.
Okay, so this was meeting number 1. We will have 2 more meetings, and we will send information about those dates and places to you. But we will do a review of facilities. Next time we will also have a finance update from our financial advisor at Hilltop Securities. He'll also be talking about bond capacity, and then we'll also eventually talk about prioritizing our needs, facility needs. And that slide's in there again. And all of this information, the YouTube, and as well as the presentations from tonight, and some other information will be on this website, godleyisdfpc.com. I don't know if it's active yet, but it will be tomorrow, and it will have all this information for your use and for the community's use in keeping up with this. So I will send out a link to this and information about our second meeting. So with that, I think that is our last slide, and we need to wrap up. So if you have questions beyond what you put on your focus sheets, take your sticky notes and you can put them over here on our sheets over here, and those will be some that we will address next week. So, but if you want to stick around and visit with Dr. Deere, Spencer, or our Templeton or Zonda, or with Christy, who's in the presentation. If you have questions tonight and you want to visit with some of them, then we will stick around and make ourselves available. So thank y'all for coming tonight, and be looking for your emails about the next meeting.
Thank you guys very much.
See y'all again.